I'm going to show you guys how to create your types of bond poster project. So this is an outline of the poster itself. As you guys can see, you have the sections labeled ionic, covalent, metallic. This is needed, y'all, as part of the rubric. So after that, each section has required information. So between requires you guys to describe types of elements that form this bond. So is it between a metal and non-metal, metal or non-metal and non-metal, etc. Differences in electron negativity. So you guys can compare the electron negativities of the elements in each bond. So whether there's a large difference, and I'm going to put it in the middle here, the options. So large difference, small difference, or same. So I wrote it in the middle so that you guys can see that it doesn't belong to any section, y'all. Though these are your choices. You're going to either pick large difference for either ionic, covalent, or metallic, and so on and so forth. Next, you guys are going to draw the Lewis dot structure. You guys have to describe what happens to the electrons in each bond, whether it is transferred, shared, or wherever the case may be. Draw an example of this electron movement using Lewis dot diagrams for ionic and covalent bonds. So for ideas on what to draw, please use your notes to look for examples and then place them in the appropriate section. For a metallic bond, please draw how the electrons move between the metal atoms. So again, make sure that you guys use the metallic bonding tutorials to help you guys with that. For bond description, please explain why the bond occurs between the two elements. In other words, why do the elements stick together? So on Canvas, I have provided you guys with 3 options for you to copy word for word into the appropriate section of either ionic, covalent, or metallic. So the first option is the bond occurs because the electrostatic attraction between the electron cloud of delocalized electrons and the positively charged metal ions. Then, number 2, the bond occurs because the nucleus of one atom attracts the valence electrons of another atom. Number 3, due to the transfer of electrons from the metal to the non-metal, the resulting positive charge of the ion attracts the resulting negative charge of the other ion. So you guys are going to pick one of those choices, put it into the appropriate section. Then we have naming. So only for ionic and covalent bonds. Please provide the detailed step-by-step process of how one would name an ionic compound and a covalent compound. Watch the video on Canvas to see an example of how to do this. You may not use the example on your project. Okay, formula writing. Provide detailed step-by-step process of how you would derive a chemical formula for an ionic compound and a covalent compound. Use your notes for ideas on which compound to use to demonstrate the rules. Watch the video in Canvas to see an example of how to do it. Again, you may not use the example on your project. Properties. So describe properties of each. Be sure to include at least melting point, solubility, and conductivity. So I'm going to write that down. So make sure you guys include solubility, melting point, and conductivity. Then you guys will have to provide real-world examples. So 3 real-world examples. For each example, you need to provide name and formula. Then draw at least one example of each. Okay, so I should see a total of 3 pictures, y'all. 1 picture for ionic, 1 picture for covalent, and 1 picture for metallic. If you guys have any other questions, please contact your teacher. Have a good one.